Welcome. This is Team Satoshi from the BSIC Impact Incubator. The domain we have chosen is democracy. Today we're going to be walking you through the opportunity in our problem statement, the market and the market size, our solution, the product that we've built, the business model, and how we're going to be marketing it. Let's dive in. Governments outsource a lot of their work to private companies through tenders and auctions. This process is called public procurement. The process is really simple. You have a department of the government that needs some work done. It could be building a hospital, making a bridge, and you have private companies that say, place a bid amount, saying this is how much I can do this for. After the government evaluates all the bids, the best suited private company is awarded the contract. This process is called public procurement, and it is a huge market globally worth 9.5 trillion USD every single year. It usually accounts for 10 to 20% of a country's GDP, and according to the World Bank, most of this money goes into procuring infrastructure, building schools, hospitals, and other citizen amenities. Private companies working for the public good, basically. And doesn't that sound great? Well, there's a big problem. Public procurement is plagued with corruption. Each year, we lose 2 trillion USD to procurement corruption. OECD says 60% of all foreign bribes are made to procurement officials. This means that procurement is the leading contributor to corruption in the global market. World Bank says that every procurement contract is 15% bribed on average before it is obtained. Imagine paying 15% extra of that kind of money using citizen taxes and getting absolutely no value out of it. And that happens every single time there's a procurement in any of the democratic nations. We have more of these shocking numbers in the document, including where we got these from. Please feel free to go through it for a deeper dive. So now the natural question arises. If there is all this enormous amount of corruption happening, where is all this money going? And more importantly, why is nobody doing anything about it? We'll know the answer to that when we break down the problem into its root causes. Breaking it down, what we find is there are in fact three problems that are intertwined, each feeding off the other. Corruption. There are a lot of ways corruption can enter the procurement process. Government officials can hand out the contract impartially, based on bribes rather than merit. For example, India's infamous 2G spectrum scam of 2010 cost the government of India about $30 billion. Or the contract itself can be designed in a way to disallow small businesses from competing in the bidding process. This is a huge problem because small and medium enterprises are the backbone of most underdeveloped and developing nations. In Chile, we've seen that ever since they shifted to a more fair system of procurement, participation of small and medium businesses went from 10 to 20% to 60%, which is great for a developing nation like Chile. So we have seen how a corruption-free system can benefit disadvantaged people. Incentives. The game of procurement is strange. Procurement officials have increasingly sophisticated ways of biasing a contract with little to no oversight. With rampant corruption, the process devolves into a kleptocracy and nobody has the incentive to fix it. Enforcement. Government procurement is heavily regulated, but the enforcement of this regulation takes years in courts and costs the state a lot of money. Wasting either is not in the interest of the citizens. Furthermore, the presence of organized crime in the sector further dilutes the powers of the officials who do want to punish the bad guys. What we need is an independent, automatic penalty mechanism which can be enforced without corrupt human supervision. The good news is we can do that. Corruption. We can decentralize decision making in the bid evaluation process with a consortium network. We have done exactly that with our product using a consensus mechanism, very similar to the Casper FFG used by the Ethereum proof-of-stake network. Incentives. Blockchain-based reputation systems realign incentives. We have implemented a blockchain-based reputation that realigns incentives and is both fair and inclusive. Enforcement. There are automatic enforcement of monetary penalties using smart contracts So it's automatic, independent, and can be done without human supervision. Let's have a look at the market. After market research, we have realized Europe is our best market. A substantial part of EU public investment is spent through public procurement. That is about 2 trillion per year, representing 14% of EU GDP. And high quality public services depend on modern, well managed, and efficient procurement. Improving public procurement can yield big savings. The EU believes that even a 1% efficiency gain could save 20 billion per year. The public sector can also use public procurement to boost jobs, growth, and investment, and to create an economy that is both innovative, resourceful, and energy efficient and socially inclusive. We chose the European Union because it has shown a need for solutions. In 2014, it came out with directives that ensured that all the member countries have an online procurement portal. It also has the right partners. ConsenSys has set up a blockchain observatory project in collaboration with the EU, and the director of the EC is really enthusiastic about blockchain technology solutions for its problems. And procurement is one of their biggest ones. And now is the right time because we've seen how trust in the economy of the Eurozone has dwindled after the Greece and Brexit crisis. We think that fixing corruption in the region is going to revitalize these economies and inspire trust again. Let's have a look at the market size. Right now, 2 trillion euros is the total volume of public procurement done annually in the EU region. 200 billion euros of that is lost to corruption. With our system in place, we can see by 2020 that amount of public procurement going up, and the cost and the amount lost to corruption coming down. These are the numbers as we have estimated from the EC and OECD data reports that have come across the decade, and we are quite confident in these numbers. We actually go into how we derive these in the document, and we do hope that you'll give it a read. Alright, let's actually go into our solution and see what the product actually does. We are already live on the Ethereum Ropsten testnet, so you can go and check out our network and see a demo yourself. I'm not going to be talking about this a lot because we'll have a separate video that's going to run you through the entire product one by one. Let's just mention the 4 major components in the system. The first thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be tracking contract bids through the blockchain so that the auditors can actually go back and see that the data is intamperable and absolutely safe. We are doing bid evaluation using ConsenSys so that there is no impartial decision making in the process, and it's fair and equal and inclusive. We have a fair reputation system on the blockchain that is designed in a way to include small and medium enterprises into the system and create a fair ground for both compliance and participation in the network. We have increased citizen engagement because we are going to be deploying these nodes, the blockchain nodes, in publicly accessible locations where government watchdogs and citizens can engage with the system and see what the government is up to. So let's have a deeper look into the infrastructure that we have. If you look towards the left, we'll see that the government and the citizens are going to be coming up with the tender process and the proposed tenders. They're going to go to the evaluators and the ConsenSys, and once we create a smart contract with all the protocols in place, the bidders can then interact with the smart contract and given their bidding. After that, there's going to be voting that is based on the consensus mechanism. Once the voting is complete, the winning project is going to be converted into a smart contract again, and this one is going to be part of the reputation system. This is where the reputation system is actually going to come in and going to check for compliance and the reputation of the bidders. So this is a very short overview of the entire project. We have other team members who are going to be going into much greater detail. So let's have a look at the business model. Our business model canvas details everything that we are doing to solve corruption in democratic governments. Our key partners are going to be ConsenSys, PPOL, SEPA, and other people involved in and around the e-procurement infrastructure in the EU. They're going to basically help us scale quickly and rapidly grow our value proposition to a lot of users as soon as possible. Our key propositions are basically, as we listed out in the product earlier, eliminating bid rigging, automated bid evaluation, post-bid monitoring using our reputation system compliance strategy, and saving months of time with faster procurement. Our customer segments are procurement specialists, auditors, and policymakers. And even though they are really broad centers in the procurement space, they are really specified jobs when it comes to the on-ground realities, at least in the people that we've talked to from the space. The revenue streams will be three. There'll be licensing our product, which we think will be amounting to 70 to 80% of our revenue stream income. The customer support retainers will probably account for another 20%. And the consulting will probably result to about 10% of our revenue stream. These are all based on OECD and EC reports over the last decade. Now, let's have a look at our revenue model. So like I said, customers can license our product, they can pay a retainer fee for technical support, and we have specialized offering on our platform for each customer segment, as you'll see in the following video. The impact projection that we see for at least the first year of our functioning is as follows. If the pilot will probably save at least 10 million euros. That is insignificant compared to the pan-EU scale, but we can see there's a small blip in the beginning. So we have talked about which pilot countries we should go to and which are the first customers we should be looking at in the document. And as we scale to 15 in pan-EU 28 countries, and as we scale, we'll quickly see that our SROI increases very rapidly. And that is because there is a strong incentive for inter and intra-nation procurement and a great geographical concentration of international procurement in the EU region. And that is one of the main reasons we chose EU as our first market. So with these, you now have a complete overview of our solution, and we do encourage you to dive deeper into reading our doc and seeing the follow-up video. Thank you for your time.